Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Welcome to the Heavy Leather Horror Show, Home Edition. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Ken, and it's time for another episode of Witch Watch.
There's a white witch, there's a black witch, baby, which is a witch, which is a witch.
So here on Witch Watch, every week, I review another witch or witchcraft-related film, and I have a great one for you this week. It's 1960's City of the Dead. City of the Dead should not be confused, first of all, with 1980's City of the Living Dead, directed by Goremeister Lucio Fulci, also known, more commonly known here in the U.S. at least, as Gates of Hell, which is a different kettle of fish entirely. This one, as I mentioned, is from 1960. It's British, it's black and white, stars Christopher Lee. Now, you might be saying to yourself, black and white, 1960, it's going to be a slow ride. Not for me. What I am telling you is that it is not a slow ride. It is a brisk, chilling ride that you will enjoy quite a bit. So stick with us. City of the Dead was directed by a fellow named John Moxey. He started his career in Britain, where he directed motion pictures and television, including The Avengers, in the 50s and 60s, and then moved to Hollywood in the 70s and 80s, and made some just a ton of television that you've seen. He ended his career doing Murder, She Wrote. Before that, he did stuff like Mission Impossible. He did Kung Fu. By the way, how come nobody remembers Kung Fu? Kung Fu was huge when it was out, and now it's just fallen off the cultural radar somehow. He also did Charlie's Angels, just a bunch of stuff. And he made two really pretty incredible and harrowing television movies. 1970's The House That Screamed, which is right in the title, Haunted House Chiller. And then 1976's Nightmare in Badham County, which is a really bleak and intense women in prison film that I saw for the first time just a few weeks ago. Luckily for me, as a 7-year-old, I missed it when it came on TV because that would have been too much. But anyway, really both incredible films, so check those out as well. But this one, by the way, the title City of the Dead might not ring any bells, but however, the American title might. The American title of City of the Dead was Horror Hotel. Right, New Jersey punk band The Misfits wrote and recorded a song about this film, also called Horror Hotel. I play a little of it for you, but you know how Glenn Danzig gets. It's very litigious. I don't want to get into a legal battle with Glenn Danzig. So just know that the song exists. It's great. It's on the Three Hits from Hell single, and you can find it on YouTube, I'm sure, or wherever it is that you listen to music. This film, like I said, stars Christopher Lee, and as the film opens, he's having a lecture. He's a professor. He's a history professor in London somewhere, with an emphasis on the occult. That's his thing. You'll find out exactly why later on. He's telling a tale about a witch trial and subsequent burning in a small New England town in 1692. If all this sounds familiar, because it bears a remarkable resemblance to where we are right now, the events that occurred in Salem, Massachusetts in 1692, minus the burning. Ours got hung, but otherwise very similar. So, except this town is called Whitewood. The witch in question, Elizabeth Selwyn, who is played by the pretty incredible Patricia Jessel, she's being burned in the beginning. There's a reenactment of the story that he's telling, and it's wild. She's being burned at the stake, and while she's being burned, defiantly, she curses the town and promises that she'll be back to wreak vengeance. Sure enough, she does. You don't know that yet, though. After the lecture, he has a star pupil. Most of his class figure this is all just a goof, just fables, old wives' tales. but he has one student, Nan Barlow, played by Venetia Stevenson, who takes it all quite seriously. And after class, she talks to him and says, "Look, February break's coming up. I was going to go to my cousin's wedding with my brother, or I was just going to goof around with my boyfriend. But instead, I'm going to go to Whitewood, Massachusetts, do a little digging, maybe, write a paper." The professor thinks this is a great idea, encourages her to do so. Her brother and her boyfriend, not so much, but she's made her mind up. So cut to a couple traveling days later, and there she is driving to Whitewood, Massachusetts. She picks up a weird hitchhiker along the way. When they get to town, he just disappears into the graveyard. Strange, but she's still rolling with everything because she figured it was going to be a little spooky. By the way, when she gets to town, it's just the best. It's the reason that I really fell in love with this movie, because the atmosphere is just incredible. It's all shot on a little stage, obviously, but the entire town has like ankle-high layer of ground fog at all times, and basically the whole town is like, a decrepit falling down church and a graveyard and this creepy hotel, and that's really it. It's it's one of the most Halloween-y things I've ever seen in my life. It's fantastic. And by the way, it's also sort of what I expected when I moved to Salem. I was like, all right, this is what it's going to be like. City of the Dead. It's not like City of the Dead, but although on a good day, do get a little fog. We have plenty of graveyards, so you get a cool approximation of it. So she gets to town. She starts exploring. The priest in the derelict church that no one goes to anymore implores her to go home. All of the locals are very cold to her, and yet she perseveres. But something is not quite right about this town. The proprietor of the hotel, of the horror hotel, of the title, the titular hotel, bears a remarkable resemblance to Elizabeth Selwyn, the witch that was burned in the beginning. So it's kind of something that she should have noticed right away, because she's seen drawings of Elizabeth Selwyn, but she doesn't connect it right away. Here's something interesting. So Venetia Stevenson wasn't really a actress. She was a model. She did basically like pinup kind of stuff, and she did a lot of magazine covers and that kind of thing. She did like Bathing Beauty, like really innocent kind of stuff, like 1940s kind of Betty Grable stuff. By the way, when I was a kid, all the grandpas, they were nuts for Betty Grable. That's why I know the name. Anyway, so she was mostly a model, and she was in London to do some modeling. But word got out that she was in town, and they wanted an American actress for the film. And she said, "Yeah, sure, okay, I'll do it." But she wasn't really known as an actress. She was just known mostly as a model. And as such, figure, hey, we got a very popular pinup model in our movie. We got to exploit this somehow. But it's 1960. You can't really show anything too racy in your films. And also, it doesn't really call for it. The story doesn't call for it. She's a student, studying up on witches. Where's the sexy time? So what they do in this one, which I've noticed in a lot of older films, going way back to the 30s, is since they can't really show anything too sexy, what they do is just they have women changing their clothes. And not even getting naked, just changing their clothes. Some films, they do it many times. You ever seen Night Nurse from the 30s? Holy smokes. People getting changed constantly. And it's kind of the equivalent, the 80s equivalent of a shower scene in the 80s, Anyway, so there's one scene in this where she's wearing some kind of house coat or something. She changes out of it to go to a party and in the hotel. And underneath she's wearing like full-on like burlesque lingerie. It's kind of shocking. It was shocking to me right now. I'm sure it bowled everybody over in 1960. So that was shocking. But perhaps even more shocking is the next scene after that, when she is dragged down to the basement of the horror hotel, and she is viciously sacrificed to Satan by not only Elizabeth Selwyn, but by her own goddamn professor, who is also there for some crazy reason. And what is really shocking about it is that this whole time, she is the main character of the movie. You assume that you are following her through this journey to the end of the film, and then dead, finished, kaput. It's a real shock. And also, 1960, right? Who else did that in 1960? That's right, Hitchcock in Psycho. So 1960 was a big year for killing off the main characters in the first half of the film. If we do the math, City of the Dead did it first, but of course Psycho gets all the accolades. But it did, I believe it did happen, City of the Dead first. The other cool thing about that scene is they sacrifice her at the strike of 13 o'clock in Whitewood, Massachusetts, 2 times a year. The clock goes to 13. I've never seen that in a movie before. I thought it was really cool. It's like a Spinal Tap thing. These amplifiers go up to 11. In Whitewood, the clock goes up to 13. So she's dead, and sacrificed as part of the grand plan of the curse of this accursed city. When nobody hears back from her, the brother heads to Whitewood, followed quickly by the boyfriend, who are going to try to straighten things out, find Nan. So, I don't want to give away anything, but it's that's the basic premise of the film. I have to say that I really, really enjoyed this film a lot. I was skeptical about what the pacing might be, but like I said, moved along. It was great, and so atmospheric and just really fun. Like everybody really like amps up their characters, but they don't play it too broadly either. I really loved it, and because it's a film from 1960, you can basically show it with any company. You can show it with kids. It's fine. I think it's a perfect kind of thing to watch around Halloween with a bunch of people, and I really recommend it. It's available on Blu-ray right here. I got a Blu-ray of it. That's really, really nice remastered edition, and it's got a ton of fairly recent, it's 2001 recent. I guess not. It's got interviews with Venetia and with Christopher Lee from 2001 that provides just a lot of insight into the making of the film, and yeah, check it out. City of the Dead, aka Horror Hotel, and that is this week's Witch Watch. Until next time, everybody, please, of course, hail Satan, but also stay healthy, and also stay 6 feet away and wear a mask outside. And we'll see you again next time on Witch Watch.